folks, at 6 o'clock. Let's call this meeting to order for the business meeting for the City of Smith Center for July 10th. I think the first action item we have this evening is a public hearing. And what we got is on the second page of your folder. This public hearing is regarding the consideration of an application to be submitted to the Kansas Department of Commerce for small city community development blocks grant funds under the CDR category. This is funding businesses for innovative solutions to become more resilient to pandemics like COVID-19, plus administrative assistances in an area generally bounded by the city limits of Smith Center, Kansas. The following page, about 3/4 of the way down, it kind of summarizes what this is. Our community is applying for $150,000 in a survey, and a survey is being conducted to verify there are eligible businesses for this program. If funded, the city county will create their own plan of how to prioritize the funding. Businesses must make their applications for funding directly with the city or county where they are located. So, still dealing with COVID-19 funds that are out there. And we briefly discussed this last time, right? You know what's coming up?
Yep.
Yeah. So
And
this,
this was advertised in the newspaper.
right. So at this point, since it's a public hearing, we can open this up for discussion, questions, or comments regarding anything that may be on your mind regarding this program. That Jill might be able to answer.
The survey has been sent out to all the businesses. Economic development has worked to get the word out. And I believe we'll be going to visit some of the businesses as they've only heard back from a small portion. Hopefully we'll hear back from more once this has taken place, or they may be trying to decide how they qualify. It is for for-profit businesses, and that does take a few of our groups out. We are hoping to get this in and be approved for the funding to be able to help some of the businesses be a little more resilient against these types of situations that happen, especially since we have so many considered mom and pop small businesses that can struggle if we have another pandemic or something similar.
Any questions or comments regarding this program?
Now, this is just within the city limits of Smith Center, is that correct?
Well,
For this right now, the county does have the ability to apply.
yeah, it says if funded the city/county.
It's because you can fund based on a county level or state.
Because in the hearing notice, it just says in an area generally bounded by the city limits of Smith Center.
Correct.
So the
Because we
county
have-
would have to go through the same steps.
Are they?
I believe.
Any other discussion regarding the program? If not, we would need a motion to approve resolution 2023-5 as shown on the following page. And in my mind, I mean, there's no negative side to this, correct? I mean, it's pretty much,
This is a great thing for our community and other communities across Kansas.
Yeah.
Have an opportunity.
Motion that for resolution 20235.
a motion by Brady. Second? Second by Dave. Motion approved for resolution number 2023-5. Okay, does that close the public hearing? So we gotta move on to
The
the rest of that part of the
public
public hearing.
hearing is now closed and we need to move on to contract.
Public hearing is now closed. I'm gonna jump a few pages, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think around 9 pages there, it's page 7, but it jumps all around there. On the top of that page, this is, the the second part of the caveat here regarding the survey, correct, Jill?
That is correct. A combination of the survey and all the assurances, CDBG grants, as you know from history. Some are quite detailed. Northwest Kansas Planning takes care of all of these details with the state after. This is the same program that we used for the swimming.
Okay. So as it says at the very top of that page, total fee under this contract will not exceed $13,630 or 10% of the CVR award. This contract does not include publication costs or any environmental review fees other than exempt or CENST. What is that? Any idea? I don't know.
I don't think it's anything that would apply to us. We don't have any environmental review as well.
Yeah. So regardless, 13,630, yeah, or 10% of the CVR award. If there's any discussion there, please speak up. Otherwise, I would make a motion to approve this to proceed. Second. Motion by myself, second by Dawn. Motion approved. Oh, all those in favor? Aye. Motion approved.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes everything there, doesn't it, Jill?
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. I gotta leave at 6:30, so Mr. Mason's gonna take over at 6:30 for me. So, I think it's in maybe best interest that maybe we jump down to the action item regarding the golf course. There's some equipment that we need to address that's had some failure. Kind of in a back to the corner regarding some items that have failed out there.
Rick has worked diligently to try to get this equipment going, but I think perhaps it's time.
You want to start with the zero turn mower? Rick, do you know anything about the zero turn mower, or do we just go through what I got here?
Our zero turn mower,
It's regarding the golf course.
yeah, it blew up.
Motor blew up.
Yeah.
So you do not have a mower, zero turn mower. And we have bids from Landmark Implement for, looks like 2 different models, as well as a bid from Lang Diesel, correct, Jill?
2 bids.
2 bids, 2 bids from golf.
How old was our zero turn? We had? How old? Yeah, it was. Couldn't tell you.
It was also donated to us. Like some time ago.
I have just a few minutes here before we started, and I was able to look at the deer, unless I missed something, guys. The only difference I see between the Z930R and the Z950R is the width of cut on the deck, 54 inch versus 60. Everything else, from what I see, is almost the same, other than horsepower, I guess. My binder cut off the horsepower, so I can't see the first one versus the second.
Or 25.5.
25.5 versus 27, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we got that, and then also 54 inch cut versus 60.
And both of those pieces of equipment are available for delivery.
Both of those. Rick, do you know, does a 54 inch better suit their needs, or 60? I mean, is there gates or anything that they have to go through that would constrain one versus the other?
No, the one that runs a 60. I don't know that it makes that much difference.
Okay. Okay, so the Z930 bid from Landmark Implement was $12,750 versus $13,750. $12,750 versus $13,750. Okay,
The one that is 13.7, that B950R also has some mulch on the. That's one of the main differences on those 2 pieces of equipment.
got you. Do we mulch out there, Rick? No.
No, I mean, that's, it's just
Yeah, but.
plastic,
Right.
well, the piece is plastic.
Float the chute.
Yeah.
Okay, then the Husqvarna bids from Lang Diesel the Z560LS at 12.3 versus the Z560L at 11,000. I'm not versed on Husker Barn equipment. I think it's fine. I'm confident the Deere is top of the line as well, for sure. If we're going strictly on bids, then, that Z560L is the cheapest one, but I don't know if that's what is ideal for our needs.
The C560L is not one of the ones that comparison at the last meeting that you discussed. So we did a few contracts, then back to get the bid on the LS. The LS, I believe they said was 2 weeks out, so they're trying to line up.
$38.
It looks like everything else Kawasaki motor, which in my opinion is top of the line on the Deere and Husker Barn.
What's the, I'm kind of got lost. What are the cheapest of each one? How do they match up? Motor-wise, deck-wise, I mean,
Okay, so the Z560L versus the Z930R, so 12,750. Price wise versus
11.
well, he's got two of them.
Yeah, they're two ones, but now,
On this photocopy bid from Lang, the Z560L says 11,000. But on the spreadsheet,
that is if we purchase the program and have it delivered straight from hospital.
so they don't have that mower there.
No.
Okay. And John Deere does have. I
They can
recommend,
get the other one.
huh?
They can get the other one, but it's a couple weeks out.
We don't have a mower, so.
we need some.
I'm assuming they're gonna get, warranty wise, we'll hit 1,500 hours in 3 years. Pretty easy.
No, I don't really know the answer to that.
John Deere's are 3 years or 1,500 hours, LDIs are 5 years, 1,500 hours under warranty.
I
Either
think
one.
if you're talking about a grass mower on a golf course.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit that hour rate.
That's what I was thinking.
5-year might be okay, but you're gonna get over those hours,
1,500.
I would think.
So if you're leaning more towards the Deere, Rick, on what you would feel more comfortable with, that cheapest one would be a 54-inch cut.
Yeah, I don't see that being a problem.
So you can go back.
I don't know that for a fact. I don't have my phone. I'd call Trace and find out.
He this afternoon indicated whatever direction the council wished to go and with your approval.
I mean, it's still a pretty good sized mower. It's mowing, tee boxes and fringes on the greens and that was what it's mowing.
The landlord's got theirs on hand.
That's what they said.
Is it on hand or is it at a landmark?
They said they could deliver it tomorrow.
That would be my suggestion.
What number are we looking at on that?
Z930R. I think any of them would be ideal mowers. I want to be cautious here, not muddy the water with the previous employer, but I think the deer mower is a good mower, and I'm sure the Husqvarna is too, so it's whatever you guys think. I think any of them would be a good solution. They're both commercial duty, all of them are commercial duty rated Kawasaki motors. Fairly close on horsepower sizes. You need a mower quick. That's probably the one that you would need to lean towards if that's what
I
you
don't
know.
know, I don't know where you could go wrong with it. It's plenty wide enough, it's got plenty of horsepower. It's a little bit cheaper.
Thoughts?
I think the John Deere's probably one to get.
What's the time frame of the Husqvarna?
For deliveries from the manufacturer, can be anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks.
Okay, so that's not important.
I was just gonna say that I think the fact that we need one now.
But the other Husqvarna, they've got like 12 of them sitting out there. I'm not sure which model that is. One model we're talking about, they don't have, but they have the high dollar one, I believe it is sitting there. There's about 12 of them.
He didn't quote us that one, I guess. We asked for the other one because he quoted that just the L.
I think we're comparing apples to apples. I think we've got to take care of the money. And that would be the John Deere, right? I mean, the cheap.
Or the cheapest one would be ordering it through Husqvarna.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
But that's not gonna work for our needs due to the time constraint.
Not that really is dependent on any dealers in the area that they would be able to get. Right.
Oh, was that the $11,000 quote?
That was the first one that he provided, that was that, if you look on that spreadsheet from the previous meeting, that was
Yeah.
the one that was coming.
So are we comparing the 12.3, the Z560LS versus the, what was the other one? The Z930R? Are those the two that we're comparing? Or am I mistaken?
Well, I mean, Rick felt the Z930R would be, if we're talking deer, the Z930 would be the way to go due to the cost and it's lesser cost and the 54-inch cutback is sufficient. And regarding to the Husqvarna, yeah, I mean, they're both 60-inch.
On the Z930R, on this little write-up on the back, is that extra 400 for a 60-inch deck? Are they upgrading us already to a 60-inch deck?
I think so.
Yeah, it's been so long since I did one of these, but I would assume that a 54-inch cutback was probably base, and a 60-inch is the upgrade cost. That's my speculation. see what you're saying. Okay. So,
So they're all 6-inch decks.
so, yeah, we got a contradiction there. So the Z930R base equipment is a 54, but it looks like they're quoting us a 930 with a 60-inch cut.
Better yet.
There you go. It's just getting better.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I would agree. That's what that is.
So if they got that one on hand, it's the cheaper one of the two, the John Deere's. LDI doesn't have anything on hand. We need one tomorrow. I think that's one we gotta go with.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion for the Z930R.
I'll second it. Motion on the table, second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion approved for the Z930R from Landmark Implement for $4,750 as quoted.
Let me just make sure it has the extra 16.
Yeah, make sure you got.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. That's the factor we're approved from above and beyond basic. But yeah, double check. Okay, and then moving on. Sorry. We-
Oh, you got the eyes on. Oh, no, I missed that. Good job. I'm too busy writing out the.
Too old for you to get this all figured out.
You got quite the book.
Yeah, we're right fast here. Okay, so the utility vehicle, you know anything about it, Rick?
Yeah, I worked on it. We had it up at Bets, he worked on it, and it's still, it will run.
And this was used exclusively at the golf course just to, for
Yeah,
projects.
it's got the electric hydraulic tilt bed, it's got about a 6-foot bed on, it, you know.
So we got a bid from Landmark on a Gator as well, or one Gator, 2 Gators, yeah, 2 Gators, as well as a quote from Professional Turf Products regarding a Toro utility vehicle. I mean, I know what a Gator is, I think we all do. Is that too big for what, I mean, like wheelbase and width, is that, I know they're good machines, but is it too big for what he needs out there?
What he needs is that box. I mean, that's where he's hauling shovels and rakes and all that shit in a golf cart. Now, that's what we use it for. Put sand in it, you can haul trash with it, you can do anything you need to do out there.
Do you think a Gator width?
How big is the box on that Gator?
Do you think the wheels will fit on the asphalt paths? I guess is my question.
5 foot. They run everywhere with it. It's not like they're gonna be driving on the car pads all the
Right,
time.
right.
What's the comparison price?
Toro is 20.
Well,
My only concern is, like, the Gator we have, shop, which it's 10 years old. I mean, that's a 3x3 box, 3x4 box. Just not much there. It's a tilt box, but, you can't put a shovel in there flat. Not about that deep. I mean, it would work, but you have what you have.
And in that first quote from Landmark on the Gators that you'll see on page 1, there's a handwritten note that says plus per tires. And I think that's important because, those come with very aggressive all-terrain ATV tires, which is not the ideal for where we're going to use this.
Yeah.
So you got to take into consideration the Deere does not include the right tires. These are very aggressive, you know, off-road tires that would be pretty detrimental to the grass.
What we get from Toro, we get a bid on two different machines, and then they added them together.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that, but they included them on the same form. that they developed.
Two converted diesel.
One's a Toro brand Workman, and the other one's a, oh, no, they're both. Workmans.
Yes. One is UTX, one is HD.
One's
Oh.
an UTX diesel, one's an HDX Kubota diesel.
So they got two different models.
They added them together.
Any idea what the difference in a UTX red kit and an HDX?
No,
I don't know what.
Maybe one's all terrain and one's heavy duty, I don't know.
What we currently have that is not working is more along the lines of the
UTX.
more comparable.
no.
Well, I think the price is
One's,
out of line.
one's hydraulic lift, one's electric lift. That's probably the difference.
And the Deere is electric over hydraulic. Hydraulic actuator.
And that's, we got two quotes for that piece of equipment, correct?
So
Yeah, two for each.
And equipment.
Is there anything out there we can sell, Rick?
Or
Any stuff we can sell?
Mm-hmm.
your gator now that you have with the street. It's, yeah, it's at least 10 years old. Any thoughts of moving it to golf? And you guys take a new one or you, I mean, who's gonna use it more? Who needs one more? Who's getting some gray hairs on it?
You know, we don't hardly use that gator anymore. We don't have no summer help, but usually we had a trailer behind it all summer and pulling motors and. I think the golf course would use one, maybe we should just give ours to the golf course.
There you go. I mean, you're still looking at the 10-year-old piece of equipment. Yeah, I don't know if that means anything or not.
Well,
better than a golf cart.
yeah, I mean, if you listen time to heal up after buying a mower, unexpectedly, but
Yeah, that's true.
But we don't wanna-
They up it, so
we don't wanna steal what you.
Well, yeah, I mean, that could come back.
I'm just saying, we don't use it that much anymore. We used to push snow with it. We don't do that anymore. We got blade for skid steer, so trying to mark in the skid steer a little bit. I mean, at one time it had its use, but we just don't. It was nice for James painting fire hydrants. I sent him out in it, you know, but let's just do that. Let me just send that out there and then we come to a point in time where we think we need something again, we'll go.
That's a great idea.
Save us a little money. And as we all know, something like that, the hardest thing you can do is let it set, not use.
What kind of tires that have?
They're probably smooth by now because they're worn out.
We've got two sets. We've got a winter and a summer set. So I'll make sure we put the fat bulbs on.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6:30, so I've got to leave. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Mace. Anything else for me, Jill, before I duck out?
All right, so on the mower, or on the gator, we're basically, where are we at on that? We're not gonna do anything right now. Just do the, okay. Jill, do you have the hardship on your hardship stuff? Of your report, you want to do that now? Or-
We can go ahead and do that now.
Okay,
In the packet, you will see a few pages. The first one is a request to bid, a request for bid to replace the cart sheds out at the golf course. We sat down and kind of talked it out. Of course, the state that they're in, as you are all aware, is past the point of needing to be repaired. So we prioritized these if it is possible to get them into an affordable range. If they're able to work with priority 1, 2, then 3, then 4 would allow us to move some carts and not have to have each of the individual owners take their carts home in between. If you look through the request to bid, I did a very brief description and then have added in there that the bidders have the option to bid out portions or together if they want to deal with subcontractors. But we've asked that a site meeting be scheduled prior to, so that we can make sure that each of the contractors bidding are bidding on the same scope. And that would be done between either our office or trades, so that we can do a walk through the area for the dirt work there under, for the cart sheds under priority 1 and 2 is going to need to be built up some of the erosion has taken place. John had built that up several years ago, I think, but it's starting to show. And working at the buildings, that what we have marked as priority 1 and 2 would both be doubles, as you can see on the next page. Ideally, 9 by 10 should allow for some of those larger carts. And then I did a very simple, I just used Excel, so it's nothing too fancy here, but did a simple to show the roll up doors and then a shelf along the back, so that those that are going to do cart sheds have a place to put their battery chargers, their extra golf balls, whatever it may be. We are also asking for 2 sets of outlets in each of the bays. We also noted that we do have some roll-up doors that can be reused. They are fairly new and can be reutilized. And of course, have the ability to lock on them. On priority 3, trades would prefer to make that one open building with doors on each of the short ends. And that would be all of the city-owned carts, including those that are rented from Commerce Carts. That would allow easy use. The doors can be opened up if needed for the extra carts, tournaments, those kind of moments where people can go in and there aren't individuals renting space in that. That way it is all just those carts that are for rental. And then priority 4 would be the demolition of that building and hopefully eventually working with maybe the Kansas Extension Office to put up some evergreen or some type of fir tree to give a little privacy for the cart shed rentals that are on the other side from the street, from the highway. We are asking permission to send this out to contractors without any kind of dollar amounts. We are unable to apply for any grants until we have something in process.
So you just need a consent from the council.
Correct.
Does anybody have any questions regarding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just to approve being able to send the request to bid out to the contractors?
Correct. And any changes that you may see in here that you'd like to make ahead of time.
Does anybody have any questions?
They just bid on one or all?
No call.
All.
But they can
So-
say an electrician can bid.
Right, so what I'm saying is, when these contractors bid them, if they have to subcontract the concrete or the electrical, they're gonna have to make sure that bid is in on their bid.
Correct. And that's why we want a site visit prior to them submitting to us so that we can assure that they understand all of that in detail and be able to walk out there with them, especially with the dirt work, because that's gonna take a little bit buildup. And by doing
Is
it
that
all,
included on that? You know,
it can be separated once and we've listed it out.
because most contractors don't do their own work.
Correct. And we'll be sending it to just those that do as well,
Okay.
to have that opportunity. But we did explain that out on here where they have the ability then to submit bids for the demolition and removal of the existing shed structures, the land preparation for the new structures, construction of the proposed buildings, concrete for the floors and the apron, and electricity.
You don't have the links of these buildings, do you?
I do. And, is the first one maybe? I don't for priority 1 and 2. I mean, it would be fairly close when you're looking at 10.
124 foot, I think.
Yeah, roughly in there. And I mean, you're figuring what, 4.5 inches partition walls in between, more than likely,
Some of them.
depending on what they use.
Yeah.
You know, so it would go in, when you're looking at the image, like this part, our building to the east and extend farther to the east and can be dropped down a little bit to the south and to the north. The middle building would be longer than what is currently there. Tracy's went out and kind of taken a look. This drive access can be adjusted a little bit. And then the fencing that goes along the range practice area could be extended if needed, depending on where that building's gonna come in at. But depending on what they're using for
The
partition
buildings
walls.
will be bad to be the doors that tell us.
Yeah, they will. There are a number of doors that can be reused. Not,
But I mean, if you get the slider doors, they're gonna be expensive.
We were paying $138 a piece for wall doors, putting them ourselves, but I don't even know if you can get them.
Yeah.
and they're a little more expensive than that.
Oh, I see.
And then that, we did put a signs on what is considered priority 3 or marked as priority 3 where the city-owned parks are, that was 25,
60 by
60
60
by
by
25.
25.
Well, I'll make that motion just to see what kind of bid you get, but that's all it's for.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just this beginning phase. There'll be several phases if we can get it off the ground.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to approve the, be able to send out the request for bids on the golf cart project, the golf cart shed project. Need a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. All right, we didn't approve the minutes, did we?
No, we didn't.
I'll have to go back to consent agenda.
So let's jump back there to the consent agenda, which we have the minutes from the June 26th meeting. And then also vouchers and receipts. Everybody had a chance to look over the vouchers. And I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. So moved.
Second.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Sidewalk program.
I included in your packet information from the discussion last meeting. I don't know if you've had any time to look at the sidewalk project much. At this point, I'm asking if there's interest. If there is, if we can start working towards deciding budget amount, percentages, anything of that nature that would assist in getting it off the ground. As it is right now, the sidewalks are the responsibility of property owners, whether it be a business or resident. dependent on the state of the sidewalk and the number of people that sign a petition. Sidewalks can be forced to be replaced, and then those costs are assessed 100% to the property owner, which of course causes some discontent.
Yeah.
So this is something a lot of other communities have done to help remedy that and in hopes encourage some people to replace their sidewalks with the city fronting an X amount of the project or a percentage of the project with a cap, of course, depending on also frontage, if it's a corner lot, if that would qualify for 2, or if your max amount would vary, depending on that. So I'm looking for a little guidance and, of course, whether the interest is there to begin.
I definitely think we could do something. A lot of houses that don't even have sidewalks anymore. But I think that you'd have to prioritize certain areas in the town first. Because there's no way that we could help everybody in town with it 1 year.
And then this, what a lot of the communities do is they open up the application at the beginning of the fiscal year, which in our case is January 1st. And they accept those applications. Of course, they're stamped when they're submitted in. Then at that point, the applications are reviewed. I visit with the homeowner to make sure that they've got a contractor in place, everything is there. And then it's all first come, first served. And then reopened again the next fiscal year.
Just allocate so much money and
Some do a 50% up to $750 or $800. Others do where they pay for the material, the concrete itself, not any other material. And then the property owner pays, for the labor and such. But
How does this affect taxes? Anybody know?
Any question for the county?
If I put a new sidewalk in front of my house,
However,
is that gonna raise my taxes?
it would have to qualify, and to qualify, it needs to be a dangerous sidewalk,
As opposed to no sidewalk?
as opposed to no sidewalk or a sidewalk that really doesn't need replaced, but maybe you just want.
Well, if you don't have a sidewalk at all, I think you would qualify, because under the statute, you could be forced to put in a sidewalk if you never, because at some point there would have been a sidewalk that you dug out and never replaced.
How about, where's the city right away come in on this? Does it matter?
Not on this. I don't think so.
But can a sidewalk be laid in the city right away?
all of them are.
They all are.
They are in the right of way.
No, I shouldn't say all of them, but the majority in town are on the city right of way.
At least the frontage ones, right? Obviously not the sidewalks.
Because a lot of the ones I've seen, there's the curb and then there's area of grass and then the sidewalk. I mean, not here, I'm not saying.
City
We got
right of
some
way is
sidewalk.
Basically 25 foot off the back of the curb. On any curb street. So, and a lot of times that's just about what the back towards the house of the sidewalk is.
So the city right of way is from the curb to the 25 feet to the back side of the curb inside the property? That's
From the back of your curb on your street,
Right.
25 foot on the property, that's city right of way.
And if you have no,
It varies from the sizes of the streets. We've got a formula we go by, but I just, 25 foot's just it's close to everybody's street.
We have several sidewalks in town that are past the point of needing replaced, and according to the way it is set up, it can be forced upon a property owner, which at that point may be something that's assessed to their taxes that they can't afford all of.
So it's interesting because I was looking this over and I think that our code, right, for the sidewalks is another one of those codes that got adopted when we adopted the code, but this council never actually voted in this section.
It did get renewed.
No, sure.
Many
You know what I
years
mean.
ago, we did have a sidewalk ordinance that
Before we did a code. Okay, but it doesn't seem, the only reason I'm saying that is because it doesn't seem like one of our old ordinances. It looks like the standard League of Municipalities code, and it's literally a recitation of the statute, the statutory scheme. And so the Kansas state statute just says cities may adopt a code like this for their sidewalks. And so at some point, I don't know how long we've had this, but we've never, since I've been here for 10 years, the council we've discussed the need for sidewalks a lot. It's come up. You guys have, over the years, really wanted to do something and never actually been able to come up with a plan. And so I think this seems like a really good way to set a limit, see how it goes, see if it can incentivize some people to fix up their sidewalks. And like Brady said, there's more than one way to do it. You could say, this year we're gonna focus on all the block, any house that would be like whatever section of town, and next year we'll do the next section or something like that. Or you can do like Jill said and just do the first applications that come in. There's a lot of different ways that you could look through all the applications. You could wait and see how many you get and then decide like where you should.
Is there
Start.
money available for any of this? I mean, because I know Lebanon put in a whole bunch of
A
stuff.
couple of years ago,
Yeah.
the state had thousands of
DOT,
dollars
yeah.
available for sidewalks.
We still have availability to apply, but we currently have no program to.
Is that the one
apply
Elena
for.
Respis is working on?
That was the Safe Routes to School.
You're right, because Lebanon got one of those grants.
Oh, yeah, they got a lot of new sidewalks over there.
So this says at the bottom of this, where it says sidewalk program, that the program is only for sidewalks across the property, not sidewalks that lead to the structure. So does that kind of answers the question that you had about putting a sidewalk to your house.
Right.
This wouldn't be part of that.
This
No.
is just for, going to cost your property.
Correct, and the thought
If there-
process
yeah.
of that is safety.
Money available, yes. So if I've got a bad sidewalk, which I don't have any sidewalk, but a bad sidewalk, someone trips and falls, I'm liable. If little Sally is riding her bike down the street and off she goes because of my curbs or my sidewalks like this, I'm liable. God, there's a lot of people that are risky. Huh?
Same way as a business owner downtown.
Yeah,
And we've got a lot of them that are that way.
It's just
At
like a
one
blanket
time-
statement. I don't know that that's 100% accurate, but
At one time, we were putting sidewalks in and the store owners were paying for the
Thank you.
concrete. We had a list a mile long. And then the contractors in town got together and they were right, it wasn't fair. We were taking work away from them, so that program got.
well, I think we go this way. I think they got it in uniform. I mean, they've got to be the same.
Well, my vision with the thought process is to start the program. See what kind of interest we have, and if this incentive is enough, that gives us a base to apply for funding. It doesn't mean that we can't apply for funding for this coming year even, but we need to establish something to start with. It's hard to apply for something that doesn't exist.
would you still be using, so you would buy, the city would buy concrete from? the
Most of
concrete-
these are reimbursement to,
Okay.
or straight payment to, with the
Mhm.
billing, the invoicing. Once the job is complete, it would need to be inspected to make sure, of course, everything was done as it should be, which would be all included in that application and the paperwork that we give to those that are applying. Then once it's complete and signed off on, they can submit the bill or a paid invoice. Because at that point, dependent on how the council sets it up, whether it be a 50% cost, then that of course would go to the property owner. If it's for the material, then that could go either to the property owner if it's already been paid or to the contractors that they used. It wouldn't be to the provider of the material, it would go to the contractor that did the work. Some of the cities talk about the fact that a contractor must be used versus doing their own. Others give the guideline that it does need to be uniform, needs to stay within the city limitations, but not the same amounts are reimbursed. But
So-
again, all these are different.
So somebody then is, if I have a sidewalk, somebody's gonna have to come around and say, that's no good. I have a sidewalk. No, it's not a safe sidewalk. You need a new.
You can apply, I mean, you're gonna know if
But
it's
I'm,
broken up or cracked.
well, I know, but the property owner has to accept the fact that it has to be replaced. I have a sidewalk. Somebody has to tell him it's not any good anymore.
I don't think we can force them to take part of the program.
I don't know how you're not gonna, I think that's the only way it's gonna work.
That's the way I think it's gonna happen.
I don't see any, what about this? No.
I disagree. I think there will be people who would see, oh, I can actually get some reimbursement. I've been meaning to
Yeah,
fix
if
that
there's
and I
money
couldn't afford it.
available, maybe, but
So,
And that's kind of key here, is if we have an incentive for them to get it replaced, it sure beats the alternative of down the line having a petition of an unsafe area and having to assess the cost to the property owners on that block or however long it is. Because at that point, they're responsible for all of it. And if it's not paid, it goes to their taxes. It's assessed to their property taxes. Which, again, causes some issue. And in some cases, not very many, but in some cases, you may be dealing with a property owner that's just getting paid. If they plan to use save back some money to replace it, knowing they can pay half or a percentage, maybe, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but the hope is versus them having that entire cost and then not be able to pay it on their taxes.
Can they apply for a storefront grant or a property beautification program grant?
The commercial can, they've changed the residential, and I don't know that is in any of the
We're
paperwork.
not gonna get much residential anyway, we don't have that many sidewalks in people's yards that run along the curb.
Does anybody know how much it would cost to do a normal storefront or normal sidewalk on a lot?
I can't hear you.
what would it cost to do a sidewalk on an average, like in front of your house?
What are we talking? 37 foot's one lot, so if you do two lots, say 75 foot times 5 foot wide. If I have my phone, I tell you what the concrete was, but I don't.
what is a yard? Concrete, yeah.
135, unless if we get city cost is 125.
That's why I asked the thing about with the city, by the concrete, do they get, is there an incentive there? Do they-
Well,
That would have to go through the contractor to.
because like in
Well, and you're
Phillipsburg,
not-
it says they pay for the concrete. Max is 400 square feet.
I think that's the reason here. I've lived in Wisconsin, and if you tore up a sidewalk or anything, that's actually on the city easement, so they make you replace whatever you put out. And then they clean that.
$60 to do 75.
And then there was a $50, if it wasn't cleaned by like 10 o'clock in the morning, there's a $50 fee for a sidewalk. So,
$11 we could do.
and that's the reason why they
Yeah,
keep
looking
them
at
up.
$10,000.
They left them on the city right away, so the city can come in and say, and I'm sure they had the city code that said, you gotta keep the right way there on the stuff. There's a lot of- You're on Main Street, there's a lot of sidewalks that are built, that are covered up with grass and stuff like that over the years, and, I know if you're walking on Main Street, it's kind of the same whether you're in business district or residential, there's places, and then there's places the curbs are like this high, where they're not handicapped, not, applicable either. So if you have anybody that wants to go from downtown to, the highway to shop or anything, you kind of have to know which side of the road you're gonna go.
So Jill, what do you need from us on this approval to move
If it's something
forward?
that you do want to move forward with. Secondly, for me to start putting something together for the next meeting would be guidance on, are you looking at a flat amount per you looking at cash? Are you looking at a percentage?
Like you can look at what she gave you that has what other cities do and see, even if you just said, yeah, I think this one's a better way to move forward.
And I'm not saying that you can't, I mean, this is just for me to get a draft.
So you would need, what sort of reimbursement are you looking at? Here's a bunch of examples on this page. You also would need to decide probably whether or not you would require a contractor to do the work or a homeowner can do it themselves.
Correct. And then whether residential and commercial, there are some I would prefer, obviously, for both, but there are some that do just residential, others that do residential and commercial.
And then how much you want to allocate first year.
I believe, but I'm not positive, our auditors will be here and I'm going to ask at that point if some of the industrial and special parts, which includes some of the ability, of course, for exercise and wellness and health, could be used to start this program. I do not know at this point if that does qualify. It's very vague, so I want to be sure before I state that is exactly where it's coming from. But I think there's a probability to pull some money from those areas.
We don't currently.
We don't have a sidewalk.
She was here last meeting.
Yeah.
No, this is something I've been working on for about 3 years.
About trying to do something for the sidewalk program for beautification.
Yeah. And there's a hope that economic development will have that in. At this point, it's just not defined for that. And this would go for residential,
Yeah.
where that is more geared towards.
I think that is, she was talking about if the city could deem themselves to force them to replace the sidewalk. And I'm not sure.
And providing for the construction of
So, because of the different things that we need to consider when looking at this, do you think it makes sense to table this until the next meeting so that we can have a chance to go through and better look at what the other cities are doing? And if everybody could do that and try to come up with some idea of what
Should be working on it for 3 years, 2 more weeks.
Yeah, I'm just not letting it go this time. I let it go last time and nobody ever moved forward, so
I have
I'm
a
getting
quick
my
question.
list cleaned up.
Do you know if all these cities that you list can have a city ordinance on sidewalks? And we don't. What's our,
It's in your ordinance, but then there's copy of, maybe I did the last,
is it,
I did the last. And I do in this one too. That is your current ordinance. Your code.
this Article 1 sidewalks.
Well, you have a large version, yes, Article 1.
Okay.
Yep, if you would all take a look at that. And come back to the next meeting with your thoughts, I would very much appreciate it.
Any other previous or ongoing business we need to discuss?
Tracy, did you ever, is this,
you know what?
did you ever talk to the lady about the land?
I tried to call her twice and she has been to either contract. I will get her.
Bryce also told me to try to get a hold of her, but, you know, he's been gone, so.
Yeah.
I
I had
just don't
tried,
want,
Ann's got her, we got her.
let me know.
Okay, we're not showing any new business on the agenda. So we'll move on into the department reports. Golf course, I guess we've already kept those, right, Jill? Okay, the rec commission.
The rec commission submitted minutes that are in your packet. There really aren't any action items. They did, purchase a weed eater, but I think that's already happened. Is that correct? Yeah.
I think their terminals went very well. The late tournament, and they're gonna be hosting district tournament coming up. and he sent a deal down to Jill and myself, but where they wanted to put up ticket takers and try not to interrupt the flow of traffic. And it's the nice thing about that, you're heading toward the high school. There's no place else to go. Yeah. So that, I think that was a pretty easy task right there. Well, I went by there one time and there were cars parked where I've never seen them parked before.
Yeah, that like little lot there,
On the west side of the school.
the Lowman's like said, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead and use it. So that was nice of them to let people park there. And I think that was a good location. But obviously, Joyfield's kind of easy to get takers down there. So that was, I mean, there were some people who would like drive their golf cart around behind the field so that they didn't have to pay. But for the most part, it went pretty well.
It's like one for the whole use. Bust those bags open for something that's gonna cost them a nickel.
Mhm.
So if there's no, action items required on the rec commission, does anybody have any questions about the meeting minutes that they provided? All right, library board, Jill?
You'll see in your packet, Julia wanted to share with you that they did receive grant funding to add signage. The first one shows the location of the sign. The second one, she said, sorry, it was a very cloudy day that day, but new lettering will match what is on the front of the Schrader Center. That second one is a mock-up to show the signage that will be in place, that is paid for by a grant.
I guess I could have asked, are they engraving that in there?
Senator Monuments.
If you guys know, were any books removed from our library? I would like to know that.
If there were what?
If they removed any books from our library,
I can sure find out.
all this stuff's going on. Yeah. No big deal, I just kind of interested.
I can find out.
in what they were.
Do we need to, we don't really need to do any kick action there because it's paperwork.
Correct, she just wanted to share that with you.
Anything else on that, Jill?
No, that is all.
Okay, next we have Jamie and Police Department.
The thing that I have is the accident that we had at the four-way stop. Semi-run a stop sign over here and hit a pickup. And could have been a lot worse. I don't know, talking to Jill, talking to Don, trying to figure out what would be the best way to approach this, you know. We've got a stop sign, ahead sign back there. We've got one up there on the highway too. So, don't know. I'll do some checking. I don't know, if the state would allow you, and this is something, you know, you got a railroad crossing, I don't know if you put a stop sign painted on the street in front of that crosswalk there, so maybe people can see that. Because the stop sign is set back so far on, you take on this side of the street, if you get vehicles parked in, it's hard to see. the
Can we
stop.
raise it?
Let's just put some rumble strips in our new main.
That's what, that came up.
What about a solar panel with a, stop ahead sign?
We tried, Tracy, we tried that up on Highway 36.
That's different than Main Street.
Well,
No,
Main
it's
Street,
not. It's the same, and we tried it with Main Street too. I wrote letters
it's a
too.
federal highway, so they control the intersection.
What about one of those stops with the lights?
The same
Yes.
thing, we
Yeah,
have
that-
asked for everything.
I
Oh.
sent letters like on my letter.
Yeah, they were saying
We
that
can't
there
even
has
put
been
a
enough
red
signs
sign.
that lights
It is KDOT,
Right.
and we have to have their approval. Harold thought he was going to get approval for us at least for 36 intersection. He's retired. There is not a person in his place right now. I did talk to the district manager who is overwhelmed and covering a very large area, including all these road construction projects.
I even sent letters if there's any council, just like, please
You know,
I
I,
think
Someone's
I
gonna
have-
get
because they're just, working. There's not enough fatalities.
It's,
not
it
enough
literally is like,
Exactly.
please help us, someone's gonna get killed, and their response is, well, somebody has to get killed.
I was out of town that day and got a call. And John Terrell called me and he said, do you feel lucky? Right away, I thought we won some money on something. I said, why do I feel lucky? And he said, well, on their camera, I had turned east right before, like he said, 15, 18 seconds
Oh my God.
before the crash. And I said, I never would have, I think everybody, people are gonna run stop signs. They're gonna run stop signs. They do it all over town. But the thing is that I think everybody has to remember, you've got to be a defensive driver. If I see it, honest, if I see a truck coming, I wait. It's my turn to go. He hasn't stopped yet. I wait. It's not costing me 10 seconds or something. I think you just have to really be a defensive driver because, you know, that guy might not have had to stop. He was coming up 281, right? He might not have had to stop since he went from 281 18 Junction there north of Russell. He wouldn't have to stop all the way to Smith Center. And now there's a stop sign. I mean, I'm not making an excuse for that.
Yeah, you already got 4 stop signs and 4 blinking red lights.
Yes,
It's
I mean,
very
that's,
congested down there, especially in the morning and right after school. It's congested enough that you're concentrating on the vehicles, the
Mhm.
pedestrians, the bicycles. Those
Not
are out
a-
of town.
I've worked here for 35 years and I don't think this intersection over on New York Street, I've hardly worked any accidents
There
until,
were 2,
no, 3 of them.
3.
Yeah, one and 2 of them were backing accidents. and People were trying to, this semi was turning a corner. Well, we had Minimax there for years that had vehicles on both sides of the street and never, you know, that's what I'm saying, we didn't have an accident. I think I was the last person that got hit by a semi at the intersection down here, and that was in 1990. That was at 2:00 in the morning.
you know,
That was
there,
on purpose, Jamie.
I decided to take maneuver semi with my patrol car. He was running the stop sign and I pulled out where I pulled out and he hit me.
you stopped.
So I stopped him, I guess.
I mean, that happened to Rob Buckmaster down there by the Mexican restaurant. He was coming to school and saw a truck coming. He was gonna try to turn west on 204. And he said, I better give him some more room. So he just put it in reverse and
That
backed right into the person behind him.
happens on Main Street up here. You know, a truck will be turning either from the east or the west onto 281 south and a car will be pulled past the stop sign. And so they back up.
Yeah.
And somebody else is there. It's the reason we call them accidents, but
Right.
it's just, I don't know, maybe we get radar and I start running that into town more, you know, coming into town and get them slowed down a little faster, you know, in between the stop sign and that. Because that's what's bad about it. And even if we had them stop at the stop sign and they get going 20 miles an hour and somebody backs out in front of the semi, you're gonna have more than one car probably involved the way our street.
Do the little
And-
things that like flash your speed work? Do they like slow people down?
We can
I feel like the
find
one
out
in
right
Phillipsburg works for me. I'm always like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
I
do
gotta
too.
slow
There's
down.
one in Holton, there's one.
here. We
There's
can
one all
find out.
over.
I had
Well,
a meeting last
you
week
could do
with
it.
LTAC.
Concordia
Okay.
has
And
one.
found that now they are making it available where you can apply. That doesn't mean you're gonna get it right away without cost, but you can apply
Yep.
to
You know, if
use
it's
one of their
flashing,
signs for
you're gonna be red by the
limited
time
time.
you get there.
And especially
And if
if
it's not
there's been an
flashing, you got a
accident,
green
which
light.
Yeah.
of course just happened.
That's an idea.
All right, anything else, Jamie?
No, unless you have something for me.
Anybody have anything for Jamie? Okay. Thanks for that. Rick Howland.
Okay, I talked to Chris and Tracy today, and scratch that. Since we ordered that pipe, the cost has gone down over 50%. They want $10,000 for us to return that pipe.
To return it?
Well, here's the deal, real quick. After we did some evaluations on our water line, we're gonna repair down in Gaylord. I wanted to make sure before we started that we could get water to town. Once we shut the valves off on that piece of line. Well, we come to find out that it doesn't restrict any of our water flow. We don't need to even replace that line. we could put valves in each end and do away with it. All 5 of our wells still run up to 12-inch and tie into the 8-inch north of town, which we didn't know. So I told Ryan, I said, well, let's see if we can get our money back for this pipe. There's since spending $60,000 if, you know, we don't have to. And I talked to Dale and I called Greg, Doug Getz. He never called me back. But there's no reason why I can see why we would even need to replace it. We have full utility of all of our wells, and we just do away with that 5 blocks of old line. But they will take that pipe back at the cost now. That would be a cost of about $10,000 if we have to deliver it
What other location?
at first.
No, to be used to
Correct.
replace line.
Oh.
We have the, all the surveys that will be filled out.
All of our 8-inch water lines are all the new stuff that go around town from the new water plant. Basically, we don't have very
Rick.
many 8-inch lines.
What about like where Adam Mifflin's, where that line broke out there? What is that?
Line broke out where.
You know, when Adam Mifflin's field or Kurt Mifflin's out, that's an 8-inch line out there.
That's the same line we're on, that we're replacing.
How old is it?
As old as the line we're replacing.
So we have some pipe in case it blows.
We got a lot of pipe.
We paid them already?
And they can get the material.
And now they're gonna charge us to take it back.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's because the price went
the
down.
price was so expensive when we bought that, they'll take it back at the price that they can sell it right now, which is less than 50% what we paid for it. That's what Ryan got back from it. Now, if I was to do some checking and call around a little bit, find out what they're selling pipe for, we could probably undercut a bunch of people and sell
Yeah.
ourselves.
And lose less than
And
$10,000.
lose a hell of a lot less.
Yeah.
And not spend 60,000.
You'll have to call a municipality because nobody in rural water uses C900.
We can send out on our list or.
But you might be able to get rid of it.
Well, I'm gonna do some checking tomorrow. We're just gonna leave it at this right now, because we were starting on it this morning, but the backhoe broke down. And Sunday night, I was sitting there, we'd run that test 2 weeks ago, and I thought, why are we replacing this? If we don't need to, we thought we had to replace it to run, 5, 6, and 7, but we don't. They all tie into it north of our north valve, the one we're gonna have shut off. And I know for a fact they'll work because I had Ryan and Mickey go down and turn the wells on one at a time. And I sit at the aeration basin and listen to the water come. And they shut it off and the water would go away and they turn the next well on. I listen to the water come. All 5 of them work. I'm gonna do some checking tomorrow and I'll get back with you.
That sounds good. Anything else, Rick?
No, I don't think so.
Does anybody have anything for Rick? No. Okay. Jill, do you have anything for?
I don't think so unless you found me a building to start a senior center in. Other than that, I think I've
Okay.
had enough this evening on report.
Did you guys have anything for Jill? Okay. Treasurer, do you have a report?
I do not.
Okay. Tabitha, do you have anything?
No, just that I still don't have any details yet for the land contracts, so just waiting on that.
Okay. That's on the sewer or the lagoon.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you talked to Dave at all?
You talking to me?
Yeah, you,
Who's Dave?
Dave says. Did you talk to him?
No.
No, Rick, somebody talked to him. Rick,
I've talked to him several times. He was just, basically the last couple of times he was wanting to, we were still doing it.
Well, I gotta get a hold of Nikki. They travel a lot. I just, every time I've tried her, she's been gone, but I'll try her tonight when I get home.
anything, does anybody have anything for Tabitha? Okay. Chris is gone. Tracy,
Nope.
Nothing.
Dawn?
Just, I mentioned before about the rec commission, the tournaments they had are going well. And if I saw correctly, they're trying to get a bus trip set up too. Which was one of the things that we had talked to them.
The rec commission? I
Yes.
saw that.
Casinos or?
Now, one casino.
It's going to Magnolia Farms in Texas,
Waco.
is what they,
Wacko Wood. Yeah, that's right, Magnolia Farms.
okay, anything?
That's all I've got.
Okay.
I do that, sorry,
Okay.
added in, that just reminded me. I got an email from Ashley Maxwell that the county commissioners changed their mind and denied any reimbursement or payment towards the lifeguard training. I have not found out whether they went ahead and approved Kensington's. I did respond to Ashley and asked her if they commented on why. And her response was they did not give a specific reason. They felt this was the best option for them at this time.
Can you do that? I don't know, so tell me what happened in the commissioner meeting. Did they, like, in an open meeting on the record, they voted, yes, they would pay for something?
They did not vote. We went and asked them about some reimbursement on the cost because of the Drug and Alcohol Council money change. And they were positive about putting money towards it, waiting until we knew what the costs were going to be. We submitted those costs, asked Ashley if I needed to attend the meeting or if she wanted to submit the numbers. She said, don't need to attend, I'll give it to the commissioners. And I got this on Friday from Monday's meeting.
So yeah, it sounds like they can do that, but I would go to a meeting and ask.
Former, sorry, that red hair up. Former.
Well, I was very upset by
Somebody
that,
had-
because that was
somebody had to-
something that, I mean, even Mr. Isom from Kensington and we had talked to different members
And
about.
so you used to get money from Drug and Alcohol Council and now they won't give that to you. Why?
They have lost, I guess, a good percentage of their funding.
Okay.
And so, Mr. Isom from Kensington had talked to some of the members,
How much is it?
and $1,800, I believe, is the total amount that we paid out. So, I mean,
I'm
even
gonna look
half
at
is
my
900,
diversion fund. If I have enough money, I'll just pay for it.
I just, the thought was a little, and
Who brought that up to them? That they probably shouldn't do this.
I have no idea, that is all she responded, is what I read you.
You can look at the minutes.
One sentence.
She gives pretty good
Yeah.
minutes, so it'll be in there.
What would have happened is we probably should have had them, or they should have voted when they gave us the okay. And then they'd have to rescind that. So if they didn't vote, they theoretically never took any action. You know, word of mouth is not, yeah. But somebody had to have brought that up for some reason. That would be interesting. And that would be in the paper next week.
I'm not sure how far behind that goes. Probably the one, might be the one following.
I can't remember because does the paper, like for you, does the paper still publish saying these are unofficial? For a while they were publishing unofficial
Correct.
minutes.
And then we
I
had
think
some
it says
times
that all
that it
the
did
time.
not, so at this point,
Now they wait until they've been
Tomorrow,
approved and then they,
they get
Okay.
the minutes from the prior meeting that were approved at the meeting the
Okay.
night before.
Anything else? Okay, Brady?
No report.
Okay. All right, well, that's the end of the agenda, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting for July 10th.
So moved.
Okay, so moving and second, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
You know what?